Hey guys, Miss Caulfield here. I just wanted to make a video to provide you guys with a little historical background for the topic as well as the directions for the assignment today. So today what we're doing is we're actually finishing up our World War II unit. We've talked about we talked about causes of World War II, we talked about single-party state rulers in World War II, looking at Stalin and Hitler, and we talked about the Holocaust, and so today is kind of like our last big topic of World War II, which is the end of World War II. Before we get started on the directions, I wanted to provide you guys with a little bit of historical context. So during World War II, similar to World War I, the US was very isolationist, meaning they did not want to join World War II. They only joined after World War II after Japan bombed Pearl Harbor. I'm sure you guys have heard about Pearl Harbor. You'll learn more about that next year in U.S. history. This bombing was very unexpected, and it caused the U.S. to join the war, which, I'm sure that Japan regretted doing that at some point because they could have potentially won the war if the U.S. hadn't joined. So at this point, the Allied powers are the U.S., Britain, and the Soviet Union. France actually fell to Germany in World War II very early on. So France was not in the war for the most part. The Axis powers at this point were Germany, Italy, and Japan. So for a long time, it looked as though the Axis powers were going to win World War II. Germany was having extreme success in Europe. There's my cat. They had taken out France very early on in the war. Britain was, not able to keep up a ton, like their power was waning. And the Soviet Union just wasn't as industrialized and advanced, and so also struggled to keep up technologically. But then Germany started making, and Japan was like kind of sweeping through Asia. And then Germany started making some mistakes. So we first see the Battle of Stalingrad. This is in Russia, or in the USSR, and it starts to become winter. And Germany is very far in the USSR. They have a limited amount of supplies with them, and traveling in Russia during the winter is very difficult because it is freezing and snowy. A lot of people told Hitler to get out of the USSR before Russia hit, but he didn't listen. He kept, moving forward. And so basically what we had the siege of Stalingrad, this city in Russia, and then winter hit. And ultimately, Germany could not handle the Russian winter. And so they ended up having to surrender. This is when we start to see the Soviets start to push Germany out of Russia and into Europe and keep pushing. The U.S. Navy and Air Force begin fighting Japan in the Pacific. We have battles such as the Battle of Midway and other important battles in the Pacific when the U.S. starts turning the tide of the war against Japan. D-Day was a very important day in the kind of scope and sequence of World War II. This is when Allied forces begin pushing into Germany-occupied France. So they land on the beaches of Normandy. They are assaulted with enemy fire. D-Day is one of those days in history where we look back and we kind of like marvel at the bravery of these troops that landed on this beach, with German troops just all over, and they had to get out of boats, rush the beach, all while being shot at. It was extreme bravery, and many people died, but they ended up being victorious, and the Allied troops were able to start pushing into Germany-occupied France. So now we see the U.S. pushing east to Germany, and the Soviet Union pushing west to Germany. And so it's starting to, come towards Germany on both sides. Hitler then commits suicide, and Germany surrenders in the spring of 1945. The U.S. is still fighting Japan, though. Japan has not surrendered. A couple of key things about Japan. Japan was a difficult opponent in war. They were very vicious against their enemies. An example of this would be the Bataan Death March. So in 1942, we see a battle where the Japanese are victorious, and they take 75,000 US and Filipino troops and force them to march 65 miles. Very cruel treatment. They were starved, heat stroke, thousands of prisoners of war perished. In this class, we spend a lot of time talking about the Nazis in Germany. Next year, you'll spend a lot more time talking about the role of Japan in World War II. But, all countries commit crimes against humanity during war, but Japan's was pretty aggressive. We also have the Battle of Okinawa. This was the last major battle and the bloodiest battle in the Pacific. Japan's military had a motto of do not surrender. You die before you surrender. They had kamikazes, which were these like planes that would be flown by people that would crash into ships. Obviously a suicide mission, but massive casualties. The Manhattan Project is what we refer to as it was the name of the project where the atomic bomb was created. So we see the first successful test of the atomic bomb in New Mexico in 1945. And so then here is some arguments that were in support of America dropping the atomic bomb and some arguments against America dropping the atomic bomb. I'm not going to read these for you. You can go ahead and read those, but I want to explain the directions for the next assignment. So this is the worksheet that you will complete. The first part is comparing and contrasting the two major historical narratives, which is, Hiroshima as victimization. This is the view that the Japanese people were victims of a war crime committed by the US when the atomic bomb was dropped, and that, it should not have been dropped. I just also want to remind you, this is an excerpt from The Three Narratives of Our Humanity by John W. Dower, 1996. It was a book written by a historian to basically document how people remember wars. And then the other narrative is Hiroshima as a triumph. This is more of the U.S. perspective of the fact that, this represents a victory for the United States, and the United States was in the right by dropping the atomic bomb to end World War II. So you'll go ahead and answer these questions. And then there are 3 documents that I would like you to read and annotate. So the first one is an American history textbook. So going into that, we probably know what kind of bias it's going to have. So I want you to underline and highlight the reasons that led to the U.S. dropping the atomic bomb according to this textbook. Document B is a first-hand account from a soldier in World War II from 1990. Underline and highlight how this U.S. soldier felt about the U.S. dropping the atomic bomb on Japan. And then document number C is actually a primary source from a 13-year-old boy who was present when the atomic bomb was dropped. So here, underline the important parts of this person's experience. Also consider what type of person this boy was. Was he in the war? Was he a soldier? Was he a civilian? And then document D are some numbers and data in terms of the casualties. So now what you're going to do is you're going to go to the discussion tab on Canvas, and I'll show you what this looks like. This is where you will post your response and respond to 2 of your classmates' posts. This assignment is going to be worth 10 points. So you're going to construct your final response. Do you believe that the U.S. did the right thing in dropping the atomic bomb and ending World War II the way they did? Your response must include your answer to the question, a short piece of evidence from at least 2 of the documents, so you need 2 pieces of evidence to support your answer, and it must be at least 3 sentences long. After you post, you'll be able to see the posts of your classmates on the discussion board. Once you post your response, you must respond to at least 2 of your classmates. When you respond to your classmates, it can be to add something to their response, agree with their response, respectively disagree with their response. When you respond to a classmate, you should reference the documents or include a piece of evidence. Okay? And that is how you get the assignment. You're not turning this document in. The reason is because in your response and in your comments on other people's responses, I should be able to see that you read the documents because you are using them as evidence to form your answers and to justify your answers. Okay, so you're not turning this document in, you're only doing the discussion, and the discussion is, let me show you where it is located. Oh, I might have done this wrong. I think I posted this on the wrong class. I'll need to redo it and put it on your class. It's in personal finance now. It will be in global studies. But you'll hit the discussion tab right here, and you'll click on this, and it'll have the discussion prompts for you here. It's the same thing. And you'll come down here, and you will write your response here. Okay? Your answer to the question, using your evidence, da 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 da. And then once you hit post reply, you'll be able to see the replies of your classmates, but you must post your own before that. And then after that, you'll be able to reply to your classmates. Okay, so that is it for today. We'll talk a little bit more about this tomorrow when we have class, and I will see you guys tomorrow.